Alright, let's dive into the finale of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, but trust me, this isn't your typical recap. Personally, I think what makes this ending so compelling is how it doesn't just wrap up loose ends. It unravels the characters in ways that feel both inevitable and heartbreaking. Let's start with the hook, Marvin's death in the penultimate episode. It's not just a plot point, it's a catalyst that forces everyone to confront their choices. Duke and Rack mourning him? That's the surface. What's really interesting is how this sets the tone for a finale that's less about closure and more about the consequences of who these characters have become. Take Kanan, for instance. Jurita dropping the pregnancy bombshell feels like a classic power twist, but what's fascinating is Kanan's reaction. He's cynical, sure, but there's a vulnerability there. A guy who's been burned by trust issues now facing the possibility of fatherhood. In my opinion, this isn't just about the baby. It's about Kanan's inability to escape the cycle of betrayal and violence he's been immersed in. What many people don't realize is that this moment isn't just set up for power origins. It's a mirror to his own upbringing, and that's where the tragedy lies. Now, let's talk about Rack. Her deal with the detectives for immunity feels like a last-ditch effort to save herself and Kanan. But here's the thing, she knows Kanan killed her brothers. If you take a step back and think about it, this isn't just a mother trying to protect her son. It's a woman realizing she's failed both her family and herself. Her visit to Flossie, only to be turned away, is a gut punch. What this really suggests is that Rack's power, which she's built on fear and manipulation, is crumbling. And yet, she still tries to negotiate with Stefano. It's desperate, but it's also human. A detail I find fascinating is how the show doesn't let her off the hook for her past, even as she tries to redeem herself. Kanan's proposal to let Rack leave New York is where things get really interesting. On the surface, it's a son trying to save his mom, but what's unspoken is his own guilt and resentment. He's the one who killed her brothers, and now he's the one pleading for her life. One thing that immediately stands out is how this show doesn't shy away from the moral gray areas. Kanan's not a hero, but he's not entirely a villain either. His conversation with Rack, where he admits she's let him down, is raw. What makes this really interesting is how it's not just about their relationship, it's about the cycle of trauma they're both trapped in. Duke's decision to kill Rack instead of Kanan is the kind of twist that stays with you. From my perspective, this isn't just revenge, it's a statement. Duke's lie about Rack begging her to kill Kanan instead is brutal, but it's also strategic. She wants Kanan to live, but in pain, isolated. If you think about it, this is the ultimate punishment in a world where family is everything. What this really suggests is that Duke's not just a victim of circumstance, she's a player in this game, and she's just as ruthless as anyone else. The after-credit scene, though? That's where the show truly shines. Seeing the family together, happy, with good times playing in the background, is a masterstroke. What many people don't realize is that Good Times was about a family surviving against the odds, and that's exactly what the Starks were before everything fell apart. The episode about Eddie, the bad kid, being redeemed by the Evans family's love? That's a parallel to Kanan's own story. He's the bad kid who never got that chance, and that's what makes this finale so haunting. Personally, I think the voiceover from 50 Cent sums it up perfectly. This isn't just my story, this is our story. What makes this really interesting is how the show connects Kanan's journey to something bigger, a Southside Jamaica, Queen's story. It's not just about crime or power, it's about legacy, family, and the choices that define us. If you take a step back and think about it, this finale isn't an ending, it's a beginning, a setup for the monster Kanan becomes. And that, my friends, is why this show sticks with you long after the credits roll.